Okay, I would like to talk about what I believe to be the biggest problem with this most recent Reach flight on PC. And I think, and that is, of course, the netcode. And I think this will kill the game, at least Reach, if it is not improved in a substantial way before launch. The short story of it is that even in a really good networking scenario, such as this game here, which I'm about to look at, that I just played, it appears that the game is adding about a 9 to an 11 frame delay between when the player executes an action, like shooting an enemy in the head, and when the game confirms that action to the player. So this, again, before I look at anything here, I've played a bunch of this flight, probably not as much as some, but I've played probably about 100 games, something like that. This game that I'm about to look at is an example of one of the best games that I've played. This is as good as the netcode gets. I've played a lot of games much, much laggier, much worse than this. So that's the disclaimer at the front of this, that everything here is about as good as I've felt this game be across all game modes: competitive, SWAT, 4v4 modes, big team battle. This example here feels good. When I played this game, I was thinking to myself, this feels as good as this flight has felt. And I still think it's unacceptable performance. I'm in Pennsylvania. This is a South Central US dedicated server. So maybe it's not quite as good as East US, although in full disclosure, I've played some East US servers that were much worse than this. So let's take a look at a few things here. So I'm going to play it up to this 1 minute mark. Let's skip ahead. Game. Rush for the sniper rifle. And the performance on my rig, we were running at over 200 frames per second for the whole time. So this is, there should not be any latency from my PC being too slow. And I've played with locked 60 FPS as well. That doesn't seem to change this. So I know there's some discussion online right now about whether locking to 60 frames versus having unlimited frame rate. There's been some discussion as to whether or not that increases input lag, but I have tested this both at locked 60 and all the way up at unlocked 200 plus. From the network latency, it feels about the same. Here we go. Look at the sniper. All right. So there you go. There's a snipe. I'll show it again in full speed, then we'll do it frame by frame. We'll look at some latency. All right. It doesn't feel awful. It feels about as good as what this beta has, but it's still not very great. And here's why. If you watch the frame by frame, there's a 60 FPS recording. I'm on a 60 hertz monitor, so that's all I've got. Shot gets fired. There's a shot. There's the shot. Let's count the frames till it registers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, 5 frames in, we have visual confirmation of a hit. How long till the game tells us we got a hit? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more frames until we get metal icons over here and we see a corpse. 6 more frames. So there's 11 frames between shot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 frames between shot and game confirms the hit. well over 150 milliseconds at 60 frames per second of latency on the game. And this is on everything the game does. Every single action you take, and again, this is representative of a very good example from what I've played in this flight. Every single action, over 100 milliseconds, often over 150 milliseconds of latency between you taking that action and the game confirming to you that that action just had an effect. This is unacceptable. And this is the best case. It gets a lot worse than this. I've played a lot of games where you shoot someone, they run behind a wall, and a half second after they've been behind that wall, you get a kill and they die. Or you are getting shot, you run behind a wall, and you're 8 feet behind a wall, and you die. This 10, 11 frame stuff, this 150 millisecond stuff, this is best case scenario that I've experienced in this flight. On a wired connection, 300 megabit down, 25 megabit up. I don't have this problem in any other games. This is the worst I've ever seen a dedicated server game feel on PC. I'll show you this is consistent throughout. Let's look at a few more here. So at 113, let's see here. Another snipe kill. Here it is. Shoot him in the foot. An MLG Pro. All right. How many frames? Let's see. 113.76 for the shot. All right, there's the shot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, now he's a ragdoll. 5 frames till he's a ragdoll, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 more frames until the game tells me that anything happened. So 10 frames. Again, 166 milliseconds there in game between when I shot this dude in the foot like a pro and when I actually have confirmation that it registered. This is just not acceptable. It doesn't look as awful in these battles against infantry, but watch what this looks like against a moving target here in the car. Watch this. See that? Watch that again. Here we go. Driver, he's getting his buddy here behind the rock. Line him up. Shot. 1. Shot was here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Shot was back here. Visual confirmation happens here 6 frames later. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like 4 frames that time. 4 more frames. He's over here. So shot's back here. He's over here. By the time I have confirmation from the game, metal showing up here with the kill. Right, this just feels terrible. This feels like I'm playing this game on a server located in Pakistan running like a Pentium 4. This is not acceptable netcode. And again, this is a good example. This is a good game. This is a game where I was not thinking while I was playing. This netcode is really bad. And this is not shippable. 343, if you ship the game in this state, it's going to die. Or at least it's going to suffer. It's not going to be as good as it could be. This is just not acceptable. Let's see what it looks like with a DMR. Got a couple examples here. So let's see, 225. Okay, so this is really interesting. I'll show. Let's look at it in full speed first. All right, so there you go. Clean. And what you notice is, if you count the, so I'm firing as fast as I can here. Shot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6th frame gives confirmation of the shot visually. His shield's just popped. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I'm now firing a second shot. So half of the time spent between your 2 shots, if you're firing rapidly, half of that time is spent the game just figuring out what it's going to tell you. So if you're trying to figure out who to shoot, half of the time between your shots is spent not knowing whether your shot even hit. It just does not feel good. It doesn't feel good at all. I'll show you an example later on. It looks like at 5:08, where I fire a 6th shot because of this. Extra shot there at the end. Why? Because I'm not sure if he's dead. All right. Shot. And one last shot here. Must be one more. There's the last shot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. At 5 frames, his weapon's off, so he's now dead. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Metal shows up. So again, they're very consistent through the whole game against lots of enemies. Very, very consistent between 9 and 11 frames of latency. Roughly 150 to 175 milliseconds of delay due to latency between the actions I'm taking in game and when the game decides to tell me those actions had effect. This isn't playable. I would never recommend somebody plays this. I would not play this. I would go play something else. This is not okay, and this needs to get fixed. At the very least, you notice here, even right now, very faintly, the guy's player name is still visible. At the very least, this medal should show up and this name should go away. Right here in this frame. In this frame, the guy's dead. He's now in ragdoll animation. But the game's going to take several more frames to tell me that he's dead. This name should be gone. Red letters should not be there. That should be gone, and there should be a information in the kill feed right here. Even if that was all that happened, it would cut this in half, and the difference between 80 milliseconds of delay and 160 milliseconds of delay is huge. You can probably play this and not even notice unless you're a competitive player. Unless you're a skilled competitive player, you're probably not even going to notice if this delay is cut in half. But at over 100 milliseconds, lots of people are going to notice. It's going to feel bad. I have no idea what the causes are of this. The game does not show you your ping, which is another problem. The game really needs to show you ping so that I know what my ping is. Maybe I've got a 300 ping to this server and I just don't know it, but the game doesn't tell me that. The game nowhere tells you what your ping is. I don't have the skills of a guy like Battle Nonsense to open up Wireshark and look at all that. But I doubt the issue here is my ping because I played a lot of games and this is as good as I've seen it yet. But the game needs to show you your ping. The game needs to give you network indicators as to when your connection is a problem. And something's got to be done about this. I don't know what the game's doing at an engine level, but what it feels like it's doing is it's taking my ping, the processing time of the server, I don't know what the tick rate is on the server, but it feels like it's taking my ping, the process time for the frame on the server, and the ping of the enemy player, adding them together, and then at the end of all of that time, communicating the result to me that just happened. That's what this feels like, because I've seen this go well up into the half second or more territory in bad games. If that's what it's doing, that needs an overhaul. That's not acceptable in a modern FPS. You can't add the latency of both players plus the server to confirm actions to the player. So 343, I hope somebody important is aware of this or paying attention to it, and I hope that you guys are willing to put in the time to make this better. It's a great game. I love this port in a lot of ways. I'm excited to play Halo on PC. I've been playing the MCC on Xbox for a long time. I think these games are fantastic. I want to see them succeed. I want to see them get a reputation of being the great games that they are, because they are great games. And I want to play these games. I want to play these games for another 20 years. And unfortunately, I'm afraid for the prospects of this port, at least on PC, if this netcode is released in its current state. So, thanks for the time.